לא,
Okay.
פה כתוב שזה פה באזור.
Does the
איפה
Elul
עדיין
hears me?
מהרוב? needing
Rabbi Azar, you hear me? Shmulik?
after that.
I hear you.
Okay, Baruch
I
Hashem.
hear you.
Which page you on?
I'm going
Oh,
to,
לא שומעים.
we don't have a lot of time. And I tried to come, but there was 45 minutes just to move around the block. So I'm going to tell a little bit about Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim. Elul, it says that Chodesh Elul is Meir the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim. And just like Yom Kippur, we know we say a lot, Hashem, Hashem, Ke'orachum Mechanon, because the Eibishter, the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim, Hashem's 13 Midas of mercy are shining on Yom Kippur. As well in Chodesh Elul, and it's well known, what the Alter Rebbe asked in the Kotei Torah, in the Maimer Anila Doidi V'Doidi Li, he asks if this is the case that there's 13 midas of Rachamim in Elul, how come it's not like Yom Kippur? We shouldn't be allowed to do any work. We should have to do special things, fast. Elul's like it's not a Yom Tif, it's not a Shabbos. So he gives the famous mashal of a melech that the melech is basada. The melech is here, but he's like in the field where he's not in the palace, so he's accessible to everyone, and he doesn't have that. It's not that level of feeling like seeing the king in the palace. That's like a Shoshana Yom Kippur. And the melech basada, that's Elul time. That's interesting. That regarding the Yud Gimel Midas Harachamim, there's a lot of different opinions as to what exactly are they. What are the Yud Gimel Midas? Now we know we say every day in davening the psukim from Parshas Kisisa by Yaver Hashem Alpana Vayikra Hashem Hashem Korachim Mechanan Erech Apayim Ches Emes. However, there's a discussion exactly what are the 13? Which of these words? What are the 13 midas? To start off, there's a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara is Daf Yud Zayin Amud Beis in Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara is like this. The Gemara brings the pasuk by Yaver Hashem Alpana Vayikra. Hashem went in front of Moshe Rabbeinu, and he called out after the Chet Egel, and Hashem forgave the Yidden, and Hashem is telling him that in case you're going to have another tzara again, I'm telling you, this is what you should do. You should say the Yud Gimel Midas. So the Gemara brings the pasuk on the Shoshana Daf Yizayin Beis. The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Imolei Mikra Kasuv I Efshel Oimrei. If not for the fact that the Torah wrote this clearly, we wouldn't be able to say this on our own. Like Hashem himself is coming and he's going in front of Moshe Rabbeinu and teaching him the Yud Gimel Midas. Milamed shenis'atev HaKadosh Baruch Hu k'shliach tzibur v'heralei l'Moshe say the tefillah. Hashem Pashat was like a chazan. It was like a chazan. He showed him how to daven the Yud Gimel Midas. He said, "This is what you should say." Hashem said, "V'hedalei l'Moshe say the tefillah amalei kol zman sheYisrael choitin yasu l'fanei kesei dazeh v'ani Michoel lahem." Anytime the Yidden sin, you should do this seder that I'm doing now. This is what you should do. You should go and you should be a shliach tzibur and you should say the Yud Gimel Midas. V'ani Michoel lahem, I'm going to forgive them. Now, the Gemara continues on and says, what's the two times Hashem? Ani hu koidim sheyech.
What's the two times?
What?
What? Good.
Is it clear? You hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. So Ani, the two times Hashem, the Gemara says Hashem, Hashem, Ani hu koidem sheyechta ha'adam, va'ani hu la'achar sheyechta ha'adam. I'm the one before, I'm the one after. After a person sins and he does tshuva, the same level the Eibishter was there before. Hashem, Hashem, I'm also going to be with the Adam after he does tshuva. What does it mean? Kel rachum chanun, Amar Rav Yehuda, Bris Krusa, the Yugimel Midas, She'inin Chayzas Reikam. Hine Anoichi Koides Bris. Hashem made a bris, a covenant, which is irrevocable, that if you say the Yugimel Midas, the person awakens the Yugimel Midas, they're going to have an effect of forgiveness. The Gemara continues on to discuss various different ideas of tshuva and mechila, but I want to point out that the Tosfos right there, right over there in the Gemara, the Tosfos starts off shloishes midas. Has a discussion. This Tosfos brings a machlokes. What are the 13 Yud Gimel midas? Omer Rabbeinu Tam, the Shnei Shemes Rishonim, the two Hashems in the beginning. Haim Shnei Midas. Those are two of the Midas. You count them as part of the Yud Gimel and part of the 13. Like the Gemara says that Hashem Hashem Ani hu koidim sheyechta to be merachem on him, and I'm merachem after he sins if he does tshuva. So the Gemara seems to connect Hashem Hashem with the Midas HaRachim, so these are part of the Midas HaRachim. And Bichlal, says Rabbeinu Tam, we know that the name Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, is the Midah of Rachamim, and the name Elokim is the Midas Hadin. So the two names of Hashem, it makes sense that they are part of the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachim. And Avoin, Pesha, V'Chatav, and Akei, all of those four are all part of the four midas. Those are another each counted individually. Noisei Aven Fesha v'Chatanaka. Hashem, he's Michoel, the Aven, the Pesha, the Chata, those three, and the Menake, he cleans it. So Aven, Pesha, and Chata, Tos explains that Avainis mean sins that were done b'mezid willfully. Peshayim, we say a pesha, refers to those that were done in a rebellious manner, not just willingly, but they're done to rebel, to be a merida. And when we say v'chata, chatais refers to those sins that are shoygig, that were done by accident. So each one refers to a different level of rachmim that the Eibishter is Michoel on each one individually. So that's the way Shittas Rabbeinu Tam. However, there was a scroll called Megillah Sedarim that was from Rabbeinu Nissim Goin, from one of the Goinim, and he says, no, I disagree. I mean, he was earlier than Rabbeinu Tam, but what they saw, what he wrote, that the first name of Hashem is not counted as part of the Yud Gimel Midas. And if you look in the Torah, there's the two names of Hashem have a line in between them, psik. There's a tam in between them. There's a psik between the two names. You see it in the Sidurim. There's like a line in between, or in the Chumash, and they're separate. And he's saying that the first one is not part of the Yud Gimel Midas. The count of the Yud Gimel Midas starts from the second Shem of Hashem. What's the first name of Hashem here? You have to read it like this. Hashem called out, Vayikra, Hashem, his name is Hashem, called out and said to Moshe, Hashem, Rachum, Echanam, Neitzer, Chesed, Alafim, those are the Yud Gimel Midas Rach. Now, according to Rabbeinu Nissim, you're missing one of the Yud Gimel Midas. If you don't count the first name of Hashem, how do you have Yud Gimel Midas? So he says that Neitzer Chesed La'alafim means Hashem pays back Chesed for 2,000 years. He'll pay back Chesed. So So he counts that as two different midas. Noitzer chesed is one midah. La lafim is another midah. That midah, noitzer chesed, Hashem gives chesed. How long does he give chesed? La lafim. Gives it for 1,000 generations. So there's two aspects. There's one aspect that Hashem pays back chesed and good deeds. The other aspect is how long will be lalafim. So those are two separate midas. So that is a shita Rabbeinu Nissim, and that is Rabbeinu Tam held differently, and he held that you do count the first name of Hashem. Rabbeinu Nissim said no. The Torah has a shrub in between. You have to say Hashem, Hashem, two separate names. The first one is just giving the name of Hashem. Vayav Hashem al panav vayikra Hashem, and Hashem called out. What did Hashem tell Moshe? Hashem ke'arachum. That's where we start off the Yud Gimel Midas. So it's all there are two opinions. It's a famous Tosfos in Rosh Hashanah, Daf Yud Zayin of Beis, that explains to us these two opinions, Rabbeinu Tam and Rabbeinu Nissim Goin, as to how we calculate the Yud Gimel Midas. However, it's interesting to point out that there are another two opinions. So altogether, we're going to have four opinions. The next opinion holds that it starts from the word kel. Hashem, Hashem is not part of the Yud Gimel Midas. It starts from kel. And that is the opinion of the Zohar and the Mekubalim, and the Arizal, Rabbeinu Chaim Vital, and many, many works in many places, in different Svarim, in Eitz Chaim, in Pri Eitz Chaim, in Shar Kavanis, and Mishas Chassidim, many places brings out that according to Kabbalah, we start from the word kel. And by the way, what we were mentioning before in the beginning, that the Alter Rebbe has a maimer in L'Kutei Torah, a famous maimer where he explains the idea of Elul, Ani l'doidi v'doidi li, Rosh Tevis Elul. And he explains that that in Elul you have your Gimel Midas Rachmim. He when he talks it out, he says that Kel is the first of all the Yud Gimel Midas. So we see the Alter Rebbe is also going like the Mekubalim, that the word Kel is the first, and Hashem is not counted as part of the Yud Gimel Midas. Then there is a fourth shita. The fourth shita is that you start from the fourth word from Rachum. You start from the fourth word Rachum. That is a shita of Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid in the Sefer Chassidim, and the Maral Miprog. They too calculated from the word Rachum. And on the Sefer Chassidim, there's a Sefer from Avram Azulai. I think he's the grandfather of the Chidah. And in the Pirush of Azulai, on the Sefer Chassidim from Yehuda HaChassid, he says that Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid and also Tosfos, our Tosfos in Rosh Hashanah that we're learning, they both were discussing how to calculate the Yud Gimel Midas. The reason why they didn't have a clarity and there was different opinions was because they did not yet see, wasn't revealed yet, the Holy Zohar. The Zohar HaKadosh was not yet revealed in their days, so they were not yet aware of the opinion of the Zohar. And now that we have the Zohar and the works of the Arizal, they revealed to us what are the secrets and behind it, and what is the calculations. And the calculations, according to the side of the Torah, starts from the word kel. So we have four opinions from the first Havaya, the second Havaya, from the word kel, or from the next word rachum. And Achreinim explain that the Iker we follow like the Zoyer and the Arizal, and Toisvis and the Beinatam, Rabbi Yehuda Achasa would have seen it, they would have changed their mind based on what the Mekubalim and what it says in Zoyer. Now, the question is, one of the questions that the Rosh has, the Rosh discusses and brings both opinions, like Toisus discusses these two opinions that are brought between Abbeinu Tam and Abbeinu Nissim going, whether it's the first Havaya or the second Havaya, the names of Hashem, and he proves that, like the opinion of Abbeinu Tam, that it's from the first Havaya. And his reason is because the minig is when we of Klal Yisrael, that when the tzibur, the shliach tzibur says Vayav Hashem upon Vayikra, and everyone together announces Hashem, Hashem, Kel Rachum. When do we start announcing from the first Hashem? That's when we respond to the shliach tzibur. So he says that's a clear raya that we take on, like the opinion of Abbeinu Tam, that the Yud Gimel Midas start from the first Havaya. So, however, the other shittas that learn differently, especially the Mekubalim, that held that it's after, it starts from the word Kel, how do they explain and answer this question that the Rosh has, and this proof that the Rosh has to the opinion of Abbeinu Tam? So, it's understood because the Arizal explains that these two names of Havaya that are before Kel are the makar of the Yugimel Serachim. They're not part of the Yugimel Serachim. They are the source of the Yugimel Serachim. So you first mention the source of where we're awakening and eliciting this level of mercy and light from the first two levels of Shem of Hashem. We're drawing down Kel, Rachum, Mechanan, and from the word Kel we start the Yugimel Midas. Just to be in simple letters, the Rebbe has a letter. It's published in the back of L'Kut Sichis Chelik Dalit. In back of Chelik Dalit, Elul, in the Haisafis in Elul, the Rebbe has a letter where he explains his four opinions, and he says in simple words, the tzibur, when the tzibur is saying Hashem, Hashem, even though according to the Mekubalim this is not part of the Yugim Midas, we're saying Hashem, Hashem, you Hashem, please, Kel Rachum Mechanim, please give us your Kel Rachum Mechanim, your Gimel Midas. But not that the Hashem, Hashem is part of your Gimel. It starts calling out to Hashem. So according to the Mekubalim, in Kabbalah language, we'll say they are the source of it, and simple words, we'll say we're calling out Hashem, Hashem, please, Kel Rachum, bring out your 13 midas. So those are the four opinions, and they all have sources in various Rishonim and Achronim in the Yugimel Midas, where they actually start from. And it's all based on this Gemara in Rosh Hashanah that says that Hashem taught Moshe Rabbeinu the way how he should bring out the Yugimel Midas by everyone, Klal Yisrael calling out the Yugimel Midas. So that's something we're going to be soon doing clearly. Slichas time and Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Slicha and Asaris Mitzvah, where we say many times Yugimel Midas Rachamim. During Tachnun, but then we do it much more often. And in Elul time, we have these Midas shining also, but not in a manner of the way it is in Kippur, where B'chlal, that it explains in Svarim that why on Shabbos are we not allowed to do Malacha? What's the reason behind it? We know simply because Hashem rested, we should rest. It's a day of rest. It's an understood thing. But that's a pshat reason. There is a deeper understanding. The deeper understanding is that the Oyer of Hashem, when you are standing in front of the Melech, you can't do anything. You're not allowed to do it work. If someone goes and works while in front of the melech, that's rebelling against the king. You're standing in front of the king and you're starting to do some work. You're standing in front of the melech. Shabbos, we're standing in front of the melech. Yeah, in front of Shemoneh Esrei, we're in front of the melech. We're always in front of Hashem, but there's different levels to how much we're expected to recognize that. During the day, we work and we don't stand in Shemoneh Esrei whole day. Rabbi Yochanan said, "Alavai shispala adam kol hayom." But l'maisa, we don't daven the whole day, and we are expected at certain times to have that feeling ka'omer l'fnei melech. So we have during Shemoneh Esrei, and then we have Shabbos. Shabbos, we're expected an entire day, 24-hour period, not to do any malacha, because we feel that certain feeling that we're in front of Hashem, and that level, we don't do any mundane work. The work that's connected to Choil. Yom Tiv is not on the same level as Shabbos. Since Yom Tiv is on a lower level than Shabbos, therefore we are allowed to do certain malachas. We're not expected, the revelation is not as high, and therefore we're not expected to relate to it on that level. And therefore, we are allowed to do work for pertaining to food, cooking, and malach of oichel nefesh. We're allowed to carry and various malachas and mutter because the revelation is a lower level, and therefore we are not expected of us to have that level of bittul like expected us of Shabbos. Yom Kippur is Shabbos Shabbosin, the double Shabbos. So we're not only not doing any malacha, not even carrying or things that we're allowed to do on Yom Tiv. It's like Shabbos, but we're also fasting, and we're like Malachim, because Yom Kippur is the Achatz Bashana, the once a year, where you're really supposed to feel that feeling a whole day. You're like a Malach, you're mamish in front of Hashem. And therefore, we're not going to be doing anything today. We're not eating, we're not drinking, we're not doing work, because we're standing mamish in front of the Melech. So, the Elul time, we also have the Alter Rebbe taught us, you have that opportunity, you have the Yud Gimel Midas. However, Hashem does it in a manner that it's not a melech in his palace, it's the melech, the way he comes before he gets to the palace. He's going, traveling, he's going through the fields. He doesn't have the whole entourage, and he doesn't have all the limos with him, and all the beautiful, he's not in the palace and the throne. It's simple, and he's accessible, and that's the idea behind Chodesh Elul. Tonight is a Chodesh, so we should all have a good Chodesh, and we should have a Ksiva v'Chasima Toiva, a good Geban Shtiyar.
Amen.
Amen. I've got a small question for you.
Yeah, I hear.
Okay, Red Lerner, I hear, as I'm holding up here, a headband that I wear during Shacharis, during the week, and it's a little thicker here, so I have it behind my head, and it holds into my ears my hearing aids that I have. So they stay, so I can hear. Now, of course, during the Shemoneh Esrei, I don't need to hear anything but myself. But during the rest of davening, I'd say Amen, etc. Now, the question is, I discovered that there's a small piece here. There's a small piece, this thing here, and it goes on top of my head, like that. Now, the thing is that I figured out that if I stretch it a little bit behind my head, then I can hold my shel Rosh exactly where it belongs, right in the middle, where the Alter Rabbi says the shel Rosh should be. The question is it a mistake? Am I wrong? Is there any place that it says I can't have it?
Where are you having it? It's strapped in front and holding in the spot?
No, it's strapped in back on the in the back of the tefillin.
The back of the tefillin, and where does the beginning of piece go? Oh, it's just holding the knot in place.
Yeah, it's holding the shel Rosh exactly in the middle.
And the way it's doing that is by you're basically tying the kesher in the back.
Right. Now the thing is that I'm wearing Alter Rebbe's tefillin, so it's big tefillin, and they have a way of slipping, one way or another. So, but the Gabbai came to me and said, "You've got to ask a Rav. You may not be able to do that." And I'm just asking you, do you know of any place where it's not allowed?
Um, well, I'm just thinking you
This part of it is holding my hearing aid in my ear securely so that I can hear properly. But
right.
this is the rest of it, and I thought maybe the last week, if I use it in the back of the tefillin, it'll hold my tefillin. Now I read, I don't know,
I don't see what the issue could be. It's not. There's no hefsek.
no,
No hefsek. It's just lying over here and you're pulling it over here, right? It's just.
right.
I
No,
mean,
well,
I don't see what the issue could be.
look, let me.
I mean, many people put their hat on top of their head while they're wearing tefillin, and it covers their. I don't see what the issue is. I don't see.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe you'll send me a picture of how you look at it, but I don't see why it could be a problem.
All right, Bezrat Hashem. Where would I send it to you?